Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. Our top story at this hour, there has been a face-off over tree felling in Delhi. And the Delhi government, remember, has formed a 3-member fact-finding panel. And the panel was set to probe the tree felling in the Ridge area. Now, the Environment Department says that the panel only consists of politicians and that the panel was formed without the Council of Ministers' approval. Saurabh Bhardwaj, who is part of the panel, does not have the authority, and that the panel is nothing but a group of ministers. Remember, the 3-member panel that was announced by the Delhi Environment Minister Gopal Rai has Saurabh Bhardwaj, Atishi and Imran Hussain as members and is supposed to investigate the order to cut over 1,000 trees in South Delhi's reserve forest. And Ishika joins us on the phone line to get us more details. Ishika, the Environment Secretary, has raised questions over the presence of Atishi, Saurabh Bhardwaj and Imran Hussain in the committee. What more can you tell us, and what has been the Delhi government's response to this?
Well, yes, in fact, as you very rightly mentioned, it is now, yet another face-off between the Delhi government and the bureaucracy here. Now, this time we are seeing it is, on the tree felling incident that took place in the Ridge area of the DDA, where after Supreme Court intervention, a 3-member fact-finding panel was in fact constituted by the Delhi government, Gopal Rai. And in this panel, there is Saurabh Bhardwaj, Atishi and Imran Hussain, all 3 ministers in the Delhi government. Now, in fact, the Environment Secretary has raised question over this, saying that what is the role of this panel, because he says that here there are only political executives, and also since the matter is already sub judice in the Supreme Court, and that Supreme Court has already made an independent panel to in fact, investigate this case. Thus, the Environment Secretary says here that this fact-finding panel of the Delhi government has no authority and has no role to play in this matter. Now, in fact, we are also getting a response from the Delhi government sources over this. Now, the Delhi government sources, in fact, have claimed that even when the Environment Minister had asked for a report from the Environment Secretary, he did not, in fact, submit the report. And now the Delhi government, sources claim that it is due to the pressure, of the Lieutenant Governor. Now, they allege that it is the Lieutenant Governor, in fact, who is not asking these officers to, in fact, come in this fact-finding committee's meeting and neither to submit the report. So certainly, this is yet another face-off between the Delhi government and the bureaucracy here. And this time, what is unfortunate is that it is after Supreme Court's intervention in the tree felling matter, where 1,100 trees were cut in the Ridge area. And remember that Supreme Court is now going to hear this matter on the 12th of July. Over to you.
All right, Ishika Verma, thank you very much for getting us all the latest in that story. And fiery face-off in the parliament as leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, targeted the centre on multiple issues in his speech during the motion of thanks, whether it was Manipur, Agnipath scheme, paper leaks or farmers' welfare. Rahul Gandhi launched a multi-pronged attack at the centre. Rahul Gandhi also targeted the BJP over Hinduism, saying that the party does not represent all Hindus and that BJP is only busy spreading hate and lies. Now, top ministers, they interjected multiple times during that speech and contradicted him and demanded his apology.
Rahul Gandhi's maiden speech in Lok Sabha as leader of opposition, replying to the motion of thanks on President's address. From saving the constitution,
for the last 10 years, there has been a systematic attack on the constitution,
to invoking religion.
So I'd like to start by showing an image of our refuge. Okay? सर शिव जी की फोटो नहीं दिखा सकते सर?
नियम प्रक्रिया में कोई भी प्ले कार्ड, कोई भी चिन्ह को सदन में नहीं दिखाया जा सकता।
To the Ram Mandir issue, Rahul Gandhi tore into both the Prime Minister and his government, even forcing the Prime Minister to intervene twice.
ये विषय बहुत गंभीर है। पूरे हिंदू समाज को हिंसक कहना ये गंभीर विषय है। लोकतंत्र ने और संविधान ने मुझे सिखाया है कि मुझे विपक्ष के नेता को गंभीरता से लेना चाहिए।
The leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, made a direct attack on Prime Minister himself.
मैं आपको बताता हूं, आज सुबह में आया, राजनाथ सिंह जी ने मुस्कुरा के मुझे नमस्ते की और मोदी जी बैठे हैं, मुस्कुराहट नहीं, सीरियस, नमस्ते भी नहीं करते। कहीं मोदी जी ना देख लें, प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी। वही कहानी गडकरी जी की है, सच्चाई है। अरे भाई, अयोध्या की जनता को छोड़ो, ये तो बीजेपी वालों को डराते हैं।
This after calling out what he described as the BJP RSS appropriation of Hinduism, to which Home Minister responded in kind, even demanding an apology from Rahul Gandhi.
विपक्ष के नेताजी ने कैटेगोरिकली कहा है कि जो अपने आप को हिंदू कहते हैं वो हिंसा करते हैं। करोड़ों लोग अपने आप को गर्व से हिंदू कहते हैं। क्या वो सभी लोग हिंसा की बात करते हैं? कि श्री राहुल गांधी नेता प्रतिपक्ष पहला भाषण होने के बावजूद माफी मांगनी चाहिए, न केवल सदन, पूरे देश की माफी मांगनी चाहिए।
Raising the Ram Mandir issue, Rahul Gandhi symbolically congratulated Samajwadi Party MP from Faizabad. Rahul Gandhi took on the government on Jammu and Kashmir statehood as well and the question of Manipur.
प्रधानमंत्री के लिए मणिपुर स्टेट ही नहीं है, मणिपुर में सिविल वॉर हो ही नहीं रही है।
As Rahul Gandhi concluded his reply, Union Home Minister appealed to the Speaker to expunge those portions of speech that were not backed by facts, as is required by the Parliamentary Convention.
Rahul Gandhi, as leader of opposition, made his first debut and made a frontal attack on the Narendra Modi government. But the treasury benches were not quiet and made a counter-attack. Even the Speaker came under attack and he did not expunge or remove any of his remarks. The big question is that with the opposition in the 18th Lok Sabha having a voice, it's going to be interesting times. In New Delhi, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
Now, the three new criminal laws have come into force from Monday, replacing the colonial-era Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code and the Indian Evidence Act. Centres specified that the focus is to ensure speedy justice and time-bound trial, while several opposition parties claim that the new laws were enforced in a hurried manner without sufficient consultation. Union Home Minister Amit Shah refuted the charge, retorting that it was the opposition which did not want to participate in a discussion.
क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम के 3 नए कानून आज से अमल में आ रहे हैं।
India's new criminal laws, set to completely overhaul the existing criminal justice system, became a reality from today, replacing the colonial-era Indian Penal Code. While cases registered before 1st of July will continue to be governed by the IPC, here's what changes from today under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. In case of criminal cases, verdicts have to be delivered within 40 days after trial ends. There will be death sentence for gang rape of a minor, and there will be capital punishment in cases of mob lynching, sedition replaced with treason.
दंड की जगह न्याय लेगा, देरी की जगह स्पीडी ट्रायल और स्पीडी जस्टिस मिलेगा। और पहले सिर्फ पुलिस के अधिकारों की रक्षा की गई थी, अब पीड़ितों के अधिकारों की रक्षा और जो कंप्लेनेंट है इसके भी अधिकारों की रक्षा करने का काम होगा।
आज उसमें टर्जम लाया गया है, ऑर्गेनाइज क्राइम लाया गया है, महिलाओं बच्चियों के लिए फांसी, गैंग रेप में फांसी तक की सजा का प्राविधान है, 0 FIR है, कोर्ट में चार्जशीट चली गई, सालों पेंडिंग रहती थी, 120 दिन में संज्ञान लेना पड़ेगा। तारीख पर तारीख, उस पर एक फिल्म है, तो तारीख पर तारीख वाला भी जमाना खत्म हो गया।
As the new law kicked in, police units across the country filed their first FIRs. The immediate challenge will be to get the police forces to implement the new laws effectively.
आज के दिन प्रत्येक थानों में एक विशेष कार्यक्रम चलाया जा रहा है, जिसमें वहां के जनप्रतिनिधिगण, वहां के पुलिस वाले और वहां के संभ्रांत नागरिकों को बुला के पुनः इन सभी कानूनों के बारे में बताया जा रहा है.
We have collaborated with the National Law University for training of the senior officers in future, and this training process is an eternal process. This will continue even after the implementation. We have prepared sufficient training materials and circulated to all police posts for the knowledge and awareness of the police officers.
The government has so far brushed aside concerns from some legal experts and jurists who say that the new laws expand police powers and dilute civil liberties. A plea in the Supreme Court that seeks a stay on the three laws has claimed that the laws were passed without detailed debate or effective discussion in the parliament. It's a charge the opposition has made repeatedly, leading to a political war of words.
इससे जो भारत की जनता की सिविल लिबर्टीज हैं वो खत्म होकर रह जाएंगी. ये सरकार किसी को भी टेररिस्ट घोषित कर सकती है. माने यूएपीए से खतरनाक ये कानून आज बन चुका है. सबसे ज्यादा इसका गलत इस्तेमाल होगा आदिवासियों पर, दलितों पर, मुसलमानों पर और जो लोग रूलिंग पार्टी से डिसेंट करते हैं.
लोकसभा में कुल मिलाकर 9 घंटा और 29 मिनट चर्चा हुई. सभी दल के सांसदों ने इसके अंदर हिस्सा लिया है, अपने सुझावों को रखा है. मैं दावे से कह सकता हूं हर सुझाव को समाहित कर 93 बदलाव कर बिल को फिर से कैबिनेट ने पारित किया. और मैं मानता हूं कि जिसको भी कुछ कहना है मेरा दफ्तर हमेशा खुला है.
All eyes will now be on a speedy implementation of the new laws. With Neeta Sharma, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Amid the national outrage over exam paper leaks, Maharashtra government is now planning to bring a new stringent law to plug the paper leaks in the state. Radhika Ramaswamy gets us this report.
In the wake of the alleged NEET paper leak and malpractices in various exams, the Maharashtra government has announced that a law to curb exam paper leak will be enacted during the ongoing monsoon session of Maharashtra Assembly.
कायदे नाही तसं नाही, पण विशिष्ट परिस्थिती करता विशिष्ट कायदे लागतात. पण एक समग्र कायदा स्पर्धा परीक्षांच्या संदर्भातला हा तयार करणं हे गरजेचं आहे. केंद्र सरकारने तो केला आहे, राज्य सरकारही तो कायदा करेल.
This as the resurgent opposition in the state targeted the government protesting outside the assembly over the issue. The opposition questioned the state government over its inaction over paper leaks in the state.
ये सगळे युवक जे आहेत खरे मेहनती युवक आहेत, सिन्सिअर युवक आहेत, हुशार आहे. त्यांच्यावर प्रचंड अन्याय या पेपर फुटीमुळे आणि या सर्व जे आहेत गुन्हेगार यांच्यामुळे होतो आहे आणि सरकार त्यावर कठोर कारवाई काही करायला तयार नाही. परंतु जो पेपर फुटीमध्ये असेल त्याला 10 वर्षाची सजा झालीच पाहिजे.
Meanwhile, investigations into the NEET paper leak case in Latur has intensified, with the CBI reaching Latur to question the accused teachers who were allegedly part of a larger exam paper leak ring. While probe into NEET case is underway, with courts unearthing new evidence daily, it remains to be seen if the proposed legislation by Maharashtra state government will be effective in curbing these malpractices in the future. With video journalist Mahesh Halwai and correspondent Anuj Raite, this is Radhika Ramaswamy for NDTV.
And after Maharashtra, it's now the turn of Madhya Pradesh to bring stringent laws to curb the menace of paper leaks. Speaking at the NDTV conclave, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Dr. Mohan Yadav, he announced that strict measures will be taken to curb paper leaks. Dr. Yadav revealed that a new law is proposed which mandates a 10-year imprisonment and a 1 crore rupee fine for those involved in paper leaks, categorizing it as a non-bailable offence. Listen in.
सर, सुना है पेपर लीक पर भी मध्य प्रदेश भी कानून बनाने में आगे बढ़ गया है.
हमने ये कल ही इसका प्रस्ताव आने वाला है कि 10 साल की सजा और कठोर कार्रवाई. आज मैं विधानसभा के अंदर से जहां से लौटा हूं, हमने कई आज भी निर्णय किए, कैबिनेट के अंदर भी ऐसे निर्णय हुए.
Time for a very short break. More news on the other side. Welcome back. There was no relief for BRS leader K. Kavita in the Delhi liquor policy case. The Delhi High Court dismissed her bail petitions both in the CBI as well as the ED cases. K. Kavita is currently in jail and the CBI is questioning her. She was arrested by the ED on March 15th. Uma Sudhir has more details.
So the legal setback suffered by the BRS party, rejection of bail for Kavita, as well as the rejection of the plea of the former Chief Minister KCR, who had filed a plea in the Telangana High Court seeking for the Commissioner of Inquiry against the power purchase agreements to be dismissed. That has also been rejected. Both these setbacks come at a time when the BRS is already in a political crisis. Not just the defeat in the assembly elections followed by desertions by its party leaders and subsequently the blank that it drew in the Lok Sabha elections has led to the desertions becoming even more. Chief Minister Revanth Reddy has in fact just come back from an almost week-long tour to Delhi, and what we understand is that he has got the green signal to further strengthen his party, and what this could mean is that more MLAs and MLCs as well could be joining the Congress party from the BRS. What I must point out is that this is something that KCR had adopted as a strategy both in his first term as well as in his second term. First term, as many as 4 MPs as well as 25 MLAs and 18 MLCs had crossed over to the TRS of that time, and in the second term as well 14 MLAs from other parties had crossed over, 12 of them from the Congress. And now for the Congress, one was to strengthen itself because they hardly had a majority of about 64 to 65 was their number, and therefore they felt they needed to strengthen themselves when they were sounds of threats from both the BJP as well as the BRS. And the second part of it is that with the budget and important bills that could come up in the assembly as well, Revanth Reddy wants to make sure that he has the majority not just in the assembly but in the council as well, where with its 40 members there are about 25 of the BRS and the Congress has hardly 4 members, and therefore he needs to strengthen. And the meeting of an MLC, Banda Mudiraj, Prakash Mudiraj, with the Chief Minister is expected to be only the beginning of many more such MLCs as well, perhaps shifting loyalties, political loyalties, and therefore in a sense the BRS is going to be in more of a crisis with its numbers going down in the assembly and in the council as well. For the party, right now is the worst of times, perhaps, certainly on the back foot.
And Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, he wrote a letter to Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy proposing a meeting to address a slew of issues in the interest of both Telugu states. He proposed a meeting at Revanth Reddy's residence on July the 6th. And Uma Sudhir joins us on the phone line to get us more details. Uma, what all issues are expected to be addressed in this meeting?
First of all, extremely interesting that Chandrababu Naidu, who belongs to the NDA, has in fact invited himself to the residence of Revanth Reddy on Saturday, the 6th of July. And that will be soon after he in fact finishes a trip to Delhi. He proposes to go there on the 4th, and it is expected that considering the kind of mandate that he has received, he will be asking for help funds from Delhi. But Revanth Reddy, Chandrababu Naidu have an old equation together. They have been together in the Telugu Desam in the United States of Andhra Pradesh. So they have been friends in the past as well and have an equation with each other. And now Chandrababu Naidu is in fact proposing a face-to-face meeting, and he says now that there has been 10 years after bifurcation, there are multiple issues that are coming out of the AP Reorganization Act, and which has implications for the welfare and advancement of both the Telugu states, and therefore let us kind of amicably with diligence and let's resolve these issues that are pending between the two states and take it forward. So it's an interesting partnership of the two Telugu states coming together once again. You would recall earlier the United Andhra Pradesh was a very potent political force with its 42 MPs. It has played a role in the earlier governments as well, and now for these two political leaders to come together should be interesting days ahead.
All right, Uma Sudhir, thank you very much for getting us all the latest. And news now from Assam, where the flood situation has turned critical as rescue teams have been put on standby. The Prime Minister has also taken note of the situation and has assured full cooperation to Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. Almost entire Dibrugarh town has been submerged in massive flood waters. Over 26% of the forest camps in Kaziranga have also been submerged. Red alert has been issued for extremely heavy rains for Meghalaya, while orange alert has been issued for heavy rains for the entire week for the northeast. 6.44 lakh people in almost over 1,200 villages in 19 districts have been affected, while over 8,000 people have been shifted to relief camps. Remember, 35 deaths have been reported in floods in Assam since May this year.
From last evening, the flood situation of Assam has turned into little critical. Water at all levels in the river Brahmaputra is flowing above danger level. Even in Kaziranga, the forest check post, all the forest vigilant posts, almost 95 vigilant posts has been submerged. Animal has started migrating from the reserve forest to the nearby hills. If the rain continues for next 3 days, the situation will become further critical.